Good afternoon, everybody, and it's a great privilege to be in here. My name is Pasi, founder director of the Spark Finland, which is acknowledged as a top 25 biotech business incubators in Europe and one of the leading organizations in the world in this space. And we are going to have fantastic projects, companies today to be on stage. And Ulrich, feel free.
Yeah, good afternoon from me as well, and also looking forward to the session. Briefly about myself, Ulrich Muehlner, co-founder and CEO of docdok.health, a health tech company. So I also kind of in your shoes, or have been in your shoes, but maybe a bit more advanced. As Pasi said, we are looking very much forward. There's one or two rules of the game. One is you have 4 minutes to present, and 1 minute is Q&A. About the Q&A, I would really like to have the audience ask some questions. If not, we ask questions. This can be painful. I hope not. So, jokes aside, it would be really also good for the presenters that there's some interaction. They spend a lot of time to present and prepare. So it's also good to engage. And with that, I would like to invite Professor Yehexkel Ben-Ari. Is this rightly pronounced? Probably wrong, right? Maybe you pronounce your name yourself. And the company name is Neurochlore, although it says here BA Biomedical. So I'm not sure what happened with the company name in the meantime. But with that, and if Professor Yehexkel is on stage, I would ask him to kick it off.
Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, we all know that the technology is going to give us a large numbers of collected data. The question is, how do we use it? And I like very much the saying that technology is a very good slave, but a very bad master. So I'm going to illustrate what we are doing, a small startup recruiting big data analysts in order to do this, to go from raw data analyst to insight, relying on concepts. I'll give you 3 examples of what we're doing and what we hope to generalize. The first one at the left, autism is born in utero. We reason that if it's born in utero, we should be able to diagnose or to prognose babies at birth, which will be later autistic. And this is fantastically important for also 3 reasons that you know, namely an earlier pediatric analysis, etc., etc. So we took kids who are autistic and kids who are not autistic, born in the same maternity, and we went back to analyze all the maternity data of both of them. We succeeded to identify 96% of neurotypical children at birth, relying on maternity data analysis, and almost half of those will be autistic. We are now generalizing this with 4 maternity hospitals in France, and we hope that France will be the first country in the world in which a prognosis of autism is made as early as that. Interestingly, among the criteria, one is very interesting. The fetus, the last trimester, has a bigger brain in the autistic future baby than in the non-autistic neurotypic child. In the middle, you have another approach. Pharmas are experiencing a lot of failed phase 3, even when phase 2 succeeds, and I have experienced this. We have done phase 2 analysis of autistic children treated with bemetanide. I won't have time to explain why. And we had successful phase 2. They were validated in 5 different countries. There is 1,050 children in the world using our treatment successfully. Then we did the phase 3, 420 children, 2 to 18 years old in Brazil, Australia, Europe. It failed. The reason for the failure is a very heterogeneous disorder. There is no way a single treatment will treat all autistic children. And therefore, we took all the phase 3 analysis, we reanalyzed it with machine learning, and relying on clinical criteria, ASD, DSM-5, SRS, we can identify 30 to 40% of children who responded to the treatment in spite of the failure of phase 3. We think that the phase 2-3 using those inclusion criteria will be successful, providing the first treatment ever of children with autism. It's as an example of what you can do with AI, which I think is very promising. Using it to reanalyze phase 3. By the way, we have some data on Fragile X, which, as you know, a big pharma company in this country failed. I think it's for the same reason. There is not a serious analysis of the subpopulation. The third one is more classical. Surgeons ask us to identify on the basis of MRI whether the tumor is glioblastoma, a glioma, or a meningioma. Analyzing 570 MRI before the surgery, we identified between 70 and 80% of them. This, of course, was validated later by anatomopathology. And now we're giving it to surgeons to see whether they do better than the machine, basically a classical type of treatment. So what I'm saying here is that in both prognosis, diagnosis, treatment, and evaluation, AI can be very interesting if, and only if, it's used cleverly in a direction which is, the question is precise, it's rely on, I won't have time to explain why we are using bumetanide to treat autism, but by the way, tomorrow I'm going to speak about brain tumor, where we have very successful reason to believe that we have a treatment for glioblastoma and perhaps meningioma, relying on the same thing. I've finished. Relying on the same approach, and again, it's relying on my previous 4 decades working in academic research. I'm an expert of ionic movements in cells. I've developed an idea how to treat glioblastoma. Finally, we are building soon a building in the south of France next to one of the nicest fjords in Marseille, in the campus of Lumini, a big building in which we are going to host startups. And if any of you want to work in a nice environment, a nice building, you are welcome to apply already. Thank you very much.
Sorry, I missed. What is your main differentiating factor relative to other AI companies? Is that the data input or is it the algorithms or a bit of both?
I'm not an expert of algorithm. That's why I am an expert, so I cannot explain. There is some of this. The program is quite interesting, but I could not detail it because I'm not an expert. It's called the Q-Finder program. But the computer is asked to separate 90% blindly of groups. So we started with 21,000 different possible groups, blue eyes, green eyes, whatever. And we progressively titrated to clinical criteria, because this is what we're interested in, not biomarkers, clinical criteria, DSM-5, SRS, and CARS-2. And relying only on this, we can predict the children responding to the treatment. So it's really clinically oriented. I'm afraid I can't give more data about the program, but that's the idea.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. I am Johan, the CEO of NxNeuro.
Hi, everyone. I'm Pierre-Antoine, and I'm the CTO. And this is Anna. What you see is just a small part of her daily challenges. Anna is epileptic. Anna is drug resistant, and no medication can contain her illness. But there is one solution, the surgery.
Let me ask you a simple question. Would you give up your smartphone for a bulky 90s phone to manage your business agenda and emails? Of course not. Your expectations over 30 years have changed.
Yet, this is what the neurosurgeon still use today. 90s era technologies, hundreds of wires, a simple stethoscope, and basic surgical tools for risky and invasive procedure with a full skull opening.
We've known for over 50 years that targeted ablation cure epilepsy. But expectations for safety and performance are now much higher. So that's why at NxNeuro, we are developing a future-ready and minimally invasive solution. Our probes are less than 1 millimeter in diameter. They are temporarily implanted in the brain, and they are used both for precise diagnosis and treatment within wireless EEG. Our AI will adapt to the patient the protocol to have the best possible outcomes for the patient, and also to exploit the full potential of our probes.
In short, and as you can see, our approach is 20 times less risky than open surgery. Our devices are 3 times more efficient than the actually used, and our solution cures without long-life medication or long-life devices.
Our solution is worldwide addressable. In a fast-growing market over 1 billion euros, Our business model is based on consumables in B2B sales to epilepsy centers. Our first market will be the US. We will start in 2026 in very fast track.
We are 3 co-founders at NxNeuro, Abed just here, Johan and myself, and we have complementary skills in epilepsy surgery, in product development and business development, especially in the US. We have also strong partnership with key opinion leaders from Europe and from the US. And our mission is to redefine the future of epilepsy surgery.
To make a difference, we need partners like you. To enter the US market, to accelerate our product development, this to help Anna and give a new hope to 5 million people over the world. On the financial aspect, we are raising 7 million for in equity. We already secured a quarter of that. This to become a new leader in the surgery for epilepsy market. Thank you for attention.
Thank you.
I might have lost it. Is this implanted, yes? This material?
Yes.
So there is surgery to identify where you want to implant it first.
There is imaging that's done, and then you decide where to put the electrodes. And when you put the electrodes, you use the recording in order to determine where the epileptic zone is.
And this allows to define completely the epileptic zone, or you have neighborhoods which might also intervene?
Combination of both. And that's why you can do lesioning when you know exactly where it is, or you need to do resection.
With the same tool?
No, you remove
surgery.
it. This is just a diagnosis tool, and then you can do lesioning.
And in your experience, the relapse takes how long?
Well, a lot of these patients are drug-resistant patients, and this is the only hope. And there's studies that shows that over 80% recover completely from epilepsy.
Genotype patients, and you have pool G mutants or variants in your pool?
No.
Okay, cool. So hi everyone, my name is Shirley and I am the CEO and founder of Platypus Bio. So can folks in the back row hear me okay? Can you give me a thumbs up? Okay, cool. So yeah, if you're interested, you can, I know the internet is probably pretty bad, but you can go to platypus.care if you want to interact with my website. So essentially, I am building a AI diagnosis app that's able to tell you what disease you have years before you have it. And also, it'll give you a very incentivized and gamified way so that you know what habits you should build starting today so you don't get that disease in the first place. And why am I building this? Oh, out of love, of course. Like, I care a lot about my grandparents. In fact, like between when I was pitching at Stanford and pitching here today, I was just visiting my grandparents from both sides in Shanghai and near Beijing. So I really care about people's health, and that is why I'm here today. And for my background, I studied bioengineering and minor in CS from UC Berkeley. And I went to Caltech CIT to do my PhD in bioengineering before I dropped out to do this startup. So without further ado, let's get going. So I know this slide is a lot, but like what you need to know is that there's a huge market opportunity for this. I know the world is not built on rainbows and unicorns, so we have to make sure the finance works. So, just driven by increasing prevalence of chronic diseases, the US insurance companies and government programs like Medicare and Medicaid spent about $4.9 trillion in 2024 on chronic illnesses alone. This is according from the CDC. And so, if Platypus Bio is able to prevent just 15% of the chronic illnesses cases in the US, it could save insurance companies and government programs already $519 billion per year. So that's a pretty sizable number, to be honest. So how are we gonna build this, or how will this actually work? And feel free to ask me more detailed question later. How it'll work is I'll use classical machine learning models like XGBoost that is very explainable by training folks' lab results like the EMR and also some unstructured data like physician notes, the social determinant of health, like your zip code, because let's be honest, like where you live, your environment affects your health a lot. I was in LA where I live. The beginning of the year, there was a huge mountain fire. You heard about it. Like my lungs was really impacted. So we're gonna take that in to tell you like, hey, years down the line, you could get this disease. And in terms of, this is another big piece of the pie is that how are we gonna actually build those habits? Because let's be honest, like you can use the app for one day, but how are we gonna help you actually change your habit every day, right? So change usually comes from your family and friends, if not from within, and we can't change you. So you can have the option to text your family and friend and share your health option with your family and friends. So this is an option you can have, and your family and friends can tell you, hey, like you should really start doing this, what the app suggests. And also, if you want to be more private, there will be Dr. Platypus, which is an assistant that will also remind you on a day-to-day basis. And lastly, there will be a gamified reward system where if you do a streak, then you have a chance of getting a gift card and having a low health insurance premium. So we'll give this data from the patient, insurance, and primary care physician, train the model, give the insights back to them. It'll have cost savings, and of course, most importantly, improve patient outcomes. And then we'll generate more data with better model performance, so on and so forth. And we'll test the minimal viable product on targeted clients, like small insurance companies, and go from there. So yeah, that's the end of my presentation. And yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you. Any questions from the audience?
I love this. I studied patient engagement at Stanford Medical School more than 10 years ago. So I love this, all of this. How are you different from your competition? Because there is a lot, I'm an American, we've deployed this, maybe an opportunity in Europe. How are you different?
Yeah, for sure. So actually, I'm currently like a full-time, my day job is as a data analyst at Abbott Laboratories in Los Angeles. And that company actually give me, like, as an employee, like an app called Castlight that reminds me like, hey, like, do this amount of steps, like do like, log your sleep, log your calories. But it's actually the same for everybody. Everybody have to walk like 5,000 steps to get X amount of points, 10,000 steps to get Y amount of points. Point is, this is very personalized, and I'll tell you what disease you all have and what you should do. Like I'll give specific habits on what you should do to pivot away from it. So that's how we differ from the current market, which is that they're not personalized and they're not gamified to actually help people change their habit.
I have a question. So that how are you going to validate that the predictions are correct?
Yeah, that's a very good question. So actually earlier, I want to thank this investor earlier who was talking to me like in the hallway about the exact same question. And he actually said that if they're a very good investor, they'll ask me this question. So I'm a little bit prepped in this sense for this answer. So pretty much like, you know, like we have to do like trials, right? In order to like prove that, hey, by using this app, people are actually like becoming less sick. And this way we can have like a value-based pricing system where we can say like, hey, insurance company, you're actually saving like X amount of dollars on each patient by them using this app because they're getting less sick and going to the hospital less and like getting less surgeries and drugs so that they'll see like, hey, I'm actually saving this amount of money per patient.
I think that that will be a crucial thing to be thought, because if you need to do a longitudinal study, it could take 30 years or 40 years.
Yeah, that's a very good question. But I feel like all problems, there's definitely solution, right? So like, yeah, that seems like a pretty difficult challenge, but I'm sure there's a way to go about it. Yeah.
Hey, my name is Arne Kausol. I'm the CEO and founder of VUS Genetics. And we are a data generating company based on our wet lab engine, gene editing platform technology. So that's our ambition through partnership to have an impact for patient and drive a strong business. So the problem we have recognized is that, you know, biotech and pharma companies are actually excellent at identifying biological meaningful drug targets. They're also excellent developing whatever modalities, being it small molecules or antibodies, to, address that drug target. But despite this, still in oncology, 9 out of 10 clinical trials are failing, and we call this the efficacy gap. This, of course, also is a huge challenge for patients that are not able to receive these potential life-saving treatments. But in addition to that, our research suggests that actually there are many patients out there that do not have any sort of known biomarkers now. They might have a gene variant of unknown clinical significance, the VUS gene variants. But many of these are not just gene variants. They're actually there for a reason. They're part of that disease evolution, and they could potentially allow these patients to benefit from a targeted treatment opportunity. So our contribution to a solution in this space is to try to make the whole drug target validation, development, and patient certification effort much more data-driven using functional annotation of gene variants. So again, I would like to remind you, we are a wet lab-based company that has now recently in-licensing exclusive license on a novel gene editing approach from my co-founder's laboratory in Toronto. And with this novel technology, in addition to the license we have on other CRISPR technologies, we are in a position to really at a completely different scale and editing capability to annotate any gene variant in the human genome. And this will eventually, from the very early stage of, providing gene variants in a drug target, in the genes that are relevant for the targeted treatment, we are generating these databases that basically fuel the journey from the very early stage, give a stronger data package to go into the initial clinical trials. And eventually, once the clinical trials are finalizing, you're not just looking at sequencing gene variants. You're actually able to interpret these gene variants and use them to drive discovery and research in the setting of these clinical trials to eventually develop biomarkers. And so important is also to remind the audience here that this concept of genetic biomarkers is not something new. It's already validated in the clinic. Think about BRCA1, BRCA2, known loss of function variant. That is the main inclusion in ovarian cancer and breast cancer for instance, PARP inhibitor from AstraZeneca and others. So we're not bringing something new, but we're having this as a starting point to further evolve these models and then use preclinical models to drive better and more successful clinical trials eventually. So a business model we have is that we're already operating in what we call a service model, where we work directly with biotech pharma companies in the early preclinical drug target validation development stage, moving forward into patient certification. But now with the help of investors, we aim to start building our own catalog of function annotated gene variants to then be able to go in and become that data provider that I mentioned before through partnership with other companies. And there we already have some early insight in working together with, or have early discussions with, for instance, companion diagnostic companies. So I got this idea while working as a postdoc at the Netherlands Cancer Institute, working with mouse models for breast cancer. I found some co-founders, including Philip Schouten, who's trained as a pathologist, Thomas, who's working as an investor, and Senja, who's working as a group leader at the Sick Kid Hospital in Toronto, and is our tech lead, and have done these innovation in the gene editing space that I mentioned. And then since then, we're building a strong team of now 4 PhD level scientists in our laboratory in Amsterdam, and we also have Emma Subber, and now start building our commercial team, and she's built strong commercial teams in this space previously. Despite initial investment, we already have revenue from this service model, and the numbers here are only from our service model. And beyond 2027, we expect completely other scales of revenue growth from our recurring revenue products that we aim to launch in the coming years. And that, looking from an investment point of view, we have received a pre-seed funding investment of a convertible loan from a regional fund in Amsterdam, 200,000 euros. And then this early August, we closed our bridge round of 600,000 led by a Dutch VC fund. And now I'm here to start pitching for a 5 million seed round, which is technology focused, allow us time to show that our technology is scalable and allow us to further provide visibility on our product, for instance, becoming a data provider for companion diagnostic solutions, developing what we call clinical support decision tools to further drive research in the context of clinical trials for biomarker development.
All right,
so
the time
with this,
is up.
I would like to finish and then take any questions there might be.
Thank you. And so the floor is for the questions.
Very quick. I guess that you are looking for genetic disorders. We have a genetic disorder. In the case of the brain, they are very, very rare. Parkinson 3%, Alzheimer 2%, autism perhaps 10%. So how is this going to be useful in disorders which have very little genetic origin?
That's a good question, and also, we are fully focusing on monogenic diseases in this early state of our company. For instance, I mentioned already BRCA1 and BRCA2 and other genes that are very relevant for drug responses and have shown clinical relevance. We're also now starting work in the rare genetic disease space. Of course, there are also many monogenic diseases there where we can immediately be a strong partner in taking all of the known loss of function variants and then testing the treatments in these cell models and benchmarking also relative to already some approved treatments where you can show in this preclinical space that your treatment, the new one, is likely to work for patients that are not responding to the existing treatment. So we can generate these evidence. Having said that, we already see in our initial screen, mainly done in academic setting, that yes, there are these very strong loss of function variants, but this is really a spectrum of gene variants and functional results of these gene variants. And there are many of these what we call hypermorphic variants. They're not like the normal cell. They're not like the full loss of function variants that are often found associated with early onset of disease and fast progression disease. But you see these hypermorphic variants, they can be related to later onset, more slow progression. But also, I'm getting to my point here now, sorry. We also see them in other disease indications. So this is where maybe we can also be a discovery platform for other polygenic disease where these gene variants are seen. If you don't understand the cellular phenotype that's linked to the gene variants, it's very difficult to do these explorative analyses using AI tools and others. So that's where we see a need for generating this data. Yeah. Sorry, that was
Thank
a long
you.
answer.
It's always wonderful to be back in Basel, and really like that. And I also would like to use this opportunity to announce that we actually today have opened our subsidiary in Basel. So that's a really happy coincidence that it happens both at the same time with this wonderful conference. So we are Glass Medical. Glass Medical is a very young company, but with a very long history. So we were asked actually by the University of Amsterdam to commercialize a technology that was developed there together with the Netherlands Cancer Institute over the last 5 years or more. So we are an AI-driven company. We focus on AI for immunotherapy of cancer. We call ourselves a tech bio company, and we are aiming to partner with pharma companies and service providers to pharma companies, as well as CDMOs that are doing manufacturing of cell therapy. So the main aim of the AI that we have is to stratify clinical trials. Most clinical trials are bound to fail because of wrong patient inclusions, of wrong choices of inclusion of patients. And we believe that by having the right information that is created by our AI, that is also, by the way, we have proof of concept on that after 5 years of long work of very smart people. We are really kind of going to bring this forward in a very rapid fashion. Now, I'm not going to go through all this. It's late today, and I think we're happy to talk with you all more about it in other sessions. But it's really important that to see that we use that we have many capabilities, and the capabilities are derived from our team. And here's our team. All the people in our team are much smarter than I am, and I'm very happy about that. So they are. We have some really brilliant people like Christian Blank, a world-renowned pioneer of immunotherapy. Jonas Stuyven, probably one of the brightest people I've ever met, and so we are very happy that we start this off now, and we're only at the beginning. We have our first seed funding in. We're raising a little bit more seed funding, but we hope actually next year to do our Series A. Thank you.
You mentioned so that you have the validated algorithms for this whole process. So can you tell a little bit more about how you have validated?
So basically, we have algorithms that were trained on TILs, tumor-infiltrating lymphocytes, in different indications. The main one was triple-negative breast cancer, but also melanoma. They have very strong predictive value. Now, we believe that we need to use many more biomarkers, and we have many in the pipeline, that when we combine biomarkers, it will be even stronger. So what we aim to do is to partner with pharmas and for clinical trials, make bespoke models in the future, and then they also will be validated in these clinical trials.
Who would you consider as your main competitors?
There are several. I would not all call them. There are several benchmarks. They're slightly different. Most of the other companies, we are very focused. Other companies are a little bit more spread out over several things. But there are several companies that do similar things. Many of them have relationships that are partially exclusive with some pharma. So there's plenty of room for us to basically do deals with other pharmas that are not yet linked to these competitors.
Could you name at least the one competitor or the reference?
Well, I can reference it, for instance, with Oken. Oken is a company, and our business model will be very similar. So we believe that we can have similar kind of big upfronts and big investments from partners.
Anyways, my name is Alexandra Hirzel. I'm here with EdgeVitals. And what we do is radically simple. We do vital signs with the camera, any camera. This camera will do, phone camera, laptop camera. We just need a camera. We go into market with 4 vital signs: heart rate, respiratory rate, oxygen saturation, heart rate variability. We have blood pressure in the product pipeline the next 90 days or so. We have a simple business model. We integrate with hospital existing technologies or with telemedicine or remote patient management. We love that. Technology collaboration. Business model is super simple. 50 Swiss francs per patient, per provider per seat, under 200 patients, and 199 over 200 patients. This is how we scale. So I'm an American, I'm an exited founder, but actually with EdgeVitals, I'm interested in Switzerland. We have a huge opportunity, 3.8 billion just in Switzerland, and 55 billion plus the global market. And we already have a number of pilots here in Switzerland across disease states. As you know, every care starts with vital signs, so we're disease state agnostic. We have multiple pilots at SCHUV, EHC. We also integrated with decentralized clinical platform. They're taking us out of Switzerland to Europe. We even have elderly care pilots in the United States. Who are we? I'm an exited founder. I've had several startups, few exits, some crazy stories to tell along the way. My CMO is also, he's a practicing physician, but he's also an entrepreneur and investor. My CTO has a unique hardware and software experience. We are fundraising 500K. We're in production. We need a little bit of money to execute on all of the customer interest. We're also interested to file for CE mark and ISA, to do ISA validation. We're fundraising for 18 months. And we will do a series, a seed series at the end of 2027. My goal is to reach around 100 and optimistically 250 ARR by the end of Q4, just in Switzerland, and then we'll go to Europe. And if we have an opportunity, we'll go to United States. As far as investment is, I'm here to make money. Traditionally, I've done so. So pre-seed investors should look to make 10 to 20 times ROI. Seed investors, 4 to 8 times outcome. And Series A, a little bit less. If it makes sense to do FDA, I don't know. In the matter of fact, currently with all the craziness going on in the US, I like Middle East. I love Middle East. We're very much so interested in dialysis, and we have a huge opportunity in dialysis space just in the Middle East. So if post 50 million in valuation, it makes sense to make more money, we will continue making more money. But that is EdgeVitals. Thank you.
Everybody would like to have that on the phone.
No, thank you. I love this. We're B2B, no hardware. As I said, I'm a serial founder. I've exited an RPM platform where I was a CTO. I'm technical and business. And I saw that we did pediatrics. The babies were hooked up with all type of stuff, and they were newborn babies. And I just thought, oh my God, there's got to be a better way to capture vitals. So we will touch on patients, but I don't want to sell on to patients. I want to sell to clinics, hospitals. I want to sell to telemedicine. Ulrich, looking at you. Remote patient management, decentralized clinical trials. Again, we play very well with existing technology. We pitched to La Prairie. They said, we're super innovative. Can you make our mirror smart? I said, yes. Does your mirror have an API? Yes. So we can make your mirror smart. I just need a camera. But I don't want to do B2C.
May I continue with the question related to, so that you are talking about the camera? Is it the camera from the mobile device? Or
Yes,
is
it can be.
Is it good enough?
Any
Yes.
camera.
Yeah.
In dialysis space, we're playing with Logitech. We are out of EPFL Innovation, and our neighbor is Logitech, so they give us free cameras to play with. So in oncology and dialysis, we'll just integrate with the camera, a thin camera on like in the ceiling. By the way, we do have IP. We filed 2 patents. We have 6 more in the pipeline. One of the things we understand is, which our competitors don't. By the way, we do have competitors. I'm an investor. We have competitors. So what we understand is different types of faces. We're camera agnostic, phone, laptop, Logitech, non-Logitech. We're integrating with the Humanoid in Florida to do our elderly care. They have a super sophisticated camera. For us, camera is camera. And super simple.
My last comment is that because I have the beautiful facial hair, so when it's long, it doesn't make any problems.
Yes. So, okay, I come from AI, 15 years of deploying AI, and I love value-based care. I think it's a beautiful application. We're waiting for 2 patents. I'm being intentionally coy. They should be awarded any day, really. Switzerland, I love it, but a little bit bureaucracy. So we do use AI, but just a little bit of it. The rest of what we use is non-AI related. So for me, it's not important that you have facial hair. In fact, if you're balding just a little bit, it's giving me more square footage to play with. I just need a piece of skin, and I understand skin: Caucasian, black, brown, yellow. I just need a piece of skin. And we have one more patent, actually, huge competitive advantage. So imagine in dialysis or oncology, you have a camera. It's not a phone camera in this case. It's a camera in the ceiling, most likely, or in an iPad. In SHUV, they use iPads. So we actually will file for multi-phase vitals. So if you have a group of people, basically, we are able to still do vital signs from a group of people, which is super useful when you go in a group setting like dialysis or oncology. So just a patch of skin is needed.
Thank you.
Hello there, you'll be pleased to know that I do business direct to consumer. 15 years ago, I won the World Championship with McLaren as business development director. And in those days, we had 150 sensors on the car, and we were streaming that telemetry to understand the performance of the car. To understand the performance of the car and try and get a 0.1 second advantage. I left Formula One, and I've spent the last 10 years working on different algorithms on the grounds of human telemetry as such. In the UK, we have an enormous waiting list in the NHS that is only getting bigger. And I've been focusing specifically on cardiac services. Your Heart Check, therefore, is live and you can go online and book a service with us. And we're there to provide direct-to-consumer ECG analysis testing. So you can say you go online, our supply partner ships you a sensor, you wear it for 3 days, it comes back to us, we do the full analysis. But we're not just another DTC testing company. We have 2 key bits of IP that we use. First of all, I need to go back, sorry. First of all, we have a convolutional neural network, which converts our ECG into blood pressure. So every 10 beats of the heart, we have an estimation of what your blood pressure is at that point. So after 3 days of wearing our sensor, we end up with 24,000 estimations of what your blood pressure is. And from there, we can actually create graphs like this, so you can see how your morning peak goes, your early evening rise, and of course, whether or not you're dipping at night. You can also see, because this becomes very personal, which Zoom meetings were the most stressful in the last 3 days. When we get all of that data back, we never want to see the customer. We want their money, we don't want to see the customer, but we want to give them the best experience possible. So we start to use AI avatars, and we have an AI cardiologist who is based on a real cardiologist who will speak to you now.
Hi, I'm Andrew Mitchell, cardiologist. Or rather, this is my AI avatar. I haven't ever said this, but welcome to the 12th Annual HealthTech Investment Forum. I am normally programmed what to say by an API call across the cloud once your heart checks algorithms have analyzed a customer ECG. I help customers understand their heart's performance. Enjoy the forum, and if you want to try the system, ask Crockford for the discount code for the web portal.
So that's what our customers typically see. The algorithm exports their analysis, and our avatar then reports it back to them in our portal. We have been working on another version of this where we're actually selling this over the counter with a pharmacy chain in the Channel Islands in the UK. So we have 2 routes to market, direct to consumer and over the counter. We have effectively built a model where the consumer effectively in 7 days can go from having chest pain to actually having the analysis done, and we have sell-out services, so we take commission by passing this on to other cardiology online services, and we have 12 online cardiologists that you can go and see through our platform. In terms of team, there's 4 people there with 3-letter abbreviations all beginning with C. Most importantly, we have a cardiologist and we have a family doctor, so we have both primary care and secondary care feeding into what's acceptable and how to work with the patient, etc. So we're looking to raise $500,000 at the moment to consolidate our UK works, and to also, we've got another couple of patents that we're in the process of filing at the moment. We have 2 granted, 2 that we'll grant this year, and we've got 2 more ideas that we want to protect, and we're looking to roll out in both the Europe and the Middle East next year. And that's me, 14 seconds early. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Chris. Any questions from the audience?
Can you, very interesting, can you hook up your system with a handy so that you don't have to send back the device so that you can have a continuous monitoring?
So we're looking at selling that on as a value add. So the key thing is, if you use our service in the UK, you can take the bare ECG report to your GP. After that, so we've got the baseline. What we're looking for after that is a way of working with consumables so that we can continuously monitor our customers' data. The key thing about postal is the fact that we don't have to worry about ISO 27001. Whilst that data is not with us, it's not our problem. Whilst it's in the postal service hands, we don't have to worry about information security. As soon as it comes onto our service, we do. If we're monitoring consumer information continuously, then we also have an information security liability.
No, I was just surprised at the money you're raising, and you already have a product on the market. Is that sufficient to drive, sales in the Middle East and elsewhere?
It's enough for us to establish the process. We're looking to go to Ireland first, and then in the Middle East as well. We will be looking to raise further seed funding after that.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I come from NovaPump from Germany, and we have a product which I will present it to you, which is ready developed, designed, freezed, etc. And here's the medical standard textbook for short-term circulation support. And it's also described here, our technique as a step forward in the interventional cardiology. As well with my colleagues, professors of cardiology, a serial entrepreneur in this field, interventional cardiology. For example, we founded Jena Valve, and this was sold in 2024 to Edwards. So, very short, we already raised our round A and seed round, and we get also financial support for this device. We are concentrating on right heart failure, and these, I will come to this, we got a lot of awards. For example, in Germany, the highest ranked award for medical devices or for medical products is a German medical award, and we get it in 2023. And the highest ranked innovation award is the Lothar Späth Award. We get it for this innovation in 21. We focus on 3 indications. We have a mortality rate today of nearly 50%. We focus on right heart failure with 3 indications. First of all, isolated right heart infarctions. Second, pulmonary embolism together with acute right heart failure. And third, cardiogenic shock with a focus on the right ventricle. One citation maybe from Professor Birkhoff. He is a founder of hardware. Hardware was sold to Medtronic for $2 billion. He wrote in 2023, our system called PERCAT is the first, which is percutaneous and pulsatile for the right heart support without any introduction sheath. And it's a real step forward in the interventional cardiology because it's percutaneous. Here you see different devices. On the right-hand side, you see the intra-aortic balloon pump, which is only available for left heart patients. And this balloon can only pump with a pump performance of 0.7 liters, which is too less. And it's again not available for right heart patients. But we use this technique because the company Getinge owns, roundly speaking, 10% in our company, to bring it to right heart patients. There's only one competitor product available, which is Impella RP, but this has 22 French diameter and has hemolysis risk and has disadvantages in the field of costs. The market price of this device is 22,000 euro, and the manufacturing costs are, roundly speaking, 7,000 euro. This is our device. We lays here on the table. We have only production costs of 2,000 euro and the same reimbursement, 12,000 euro. And the advantages beside the costs are, for example, the hemolysis risk. We don't have any rotating parts, and this is also an advantage for the patients. And we are fully compatible with the intra-aortic balloon pump technique. We already performed all the in vitro tests, all the in vivo tests in sheep. We performed 3 series in animals, in sheep. And here you see a real anatomical model for the implantation, for the usability tests, and this is also ready. So you see the EVP drive. This heart pump needs no software. It's real mid-tech. Our team consists of 6 employees by now, a small team, but we have a business concept with outsourcing of manufacturing and marketing and sales. The market volume for percutaneous circulation support is, roundly speaking, $6 billion in 2026, and the market will grow further. We already mentioned here.
The time is up.
Okay. So every heart pump will be assembled in clean room concept. It is ready, and we want to finish the last trials, 1 animal trial, and then we want to go to the first in human implantation in the end of 2026.
So thank you.
Very quick question. How do you want to monetize this?
Profit margin is, roundly speaking, 70%, and we have marketing and sales partners already, as said, but it's also possible to have a company exit after CE mark or after first in human implantation.
When your heart beats like that, it means you are alive, really alive. It can be even faster. But now just imagine it stops. Imagine you're experiencing a cardiac arrest. Your blood stops flowing. Your brain is starving of oxygen. And you cannot call for help. You desperately need someone to come and bring a defibrillator within 3 minutes. And most of the case, it does not happen. The sudden cardiac arrest is a big failure of our society. It takes 5 million lives every year in the world, and only 10% of people are surviving in Switzerland alone today. The problem is that current solutions, traditional defibrillators, they are expensive, bulky, and intimidating. So with my co-founders, we created a defibrillator which fits in your pocket, which is 50 to 70% cheaper than existing, and which is very simple. Anyone can use it. Just take it out of your pocket, you peel the pads, you put on the chest of the victim, and let the defibrillator do the rest. It's automatic. And when you use it, the phone is automatically calling the emergency services. I'm Guillaume. I'm an engineer. I have been a volunteer rescuer for more than 15 years, and I co-founded Impulse with a specialist in medical device, a specialist in defibrillators, and a cardiologist. And along with them, we created a device that is already attracting major companies working in industry, first aid training organizations, sport organization, public transport, and even the military. Our device we are targeting a market of 680 million euro, and we will sell mainly to business consumers, B2B, because this is where we are having the highest potential, at 290 euro plus 35 euro of a monthly subscription for seamless replacement whenever needed. So our device is validated in lab. With 1.5 million, we will complete industrialization, the testing, and the CE certification for 2027. So join us in transforming the sudden cardiac arrest prevention in companies and everywhere, and invest in Impulse.
Thank you. Any questions from the audience? So maybe I have one. So are you planning or intending to replace existing defis or creating a new market, so to say, where you have the big ones you showed installed, and then you say there's a need for your system because it's smaller, nimble, whatever?
Our innovation is that it's very simple to use. It's not scaring to be used. So what interests my companies is to replace the existing, because anyone can use even without any training. So when you put it in an office or in a building at every floor, you can be sure that anyone can use it, really. And then we can add new one when there is no today, because there is no current, like in cars, in bags of technicians, in the pocket of coaches. So it's replacing a part of existing one and adding new ones.
I think this was a little bit my question, because oftentimes it's very difficult to replace existing installed infrastructure, because companies or whoever have invested in this, and then they say, look, we put it there and now let's just leave it there. So replacing something with something new is difficult, because even though your technology might be better, or all the advantages you mentioned, but you have to battle against existing installed things where people say, look, tick box done, this is there. So maybe you go for new non-existing customers first, and then over time you want to replace existing ones. But I'm not in the market, but just knowing the healthcare space a bit is a little bit my concern, you know.
Yes, but even on the price-wise, we are lower, so they can keep the main one in the lobby and add, and there is a floor. Like I think in Movenpick, they can have at many floors additionally to the lobby one.
Yeah.
I think this is brilliant. Practical innovation. Quick comment. What are your unit economics? So you're making 240 plus 35 subscription. How much are you making per device? Thank you.
It depends on how long the subscription will last.
What are your unit economics? Like how much is it costing you to make the device?
Today, it's 650 for 10 pieces, but I hope I will reduce it. I'm sure I will reduce it with higher quantities. So it means with this model, ROI is less than 1 year.
Thank you.
And it's done in Europe, not in Italy.
I'm Chris, founder at Surgical Reality. We're a 3D imaging application. And I think a lot of the people in the room are still aware of this, the troubles of navigating from A to B, road closures and this and that. So those problems have been removed by, of course, maps and waves. But in the surgical domain, surgeons have always needed to rely on the images which have been the same since the 70s, the CT scan. And they need to understand the tumor, the location, the patient anatomy to be able to derive an image like this. The location of the nodule, but also how does it change during a procedure. And based on those insights, we've developed the Surgical Reality application where a surgeon loads a CT scan of the patient's anatomy. Automatically, they choose which lung they want to reconstruct in color. So the AI starts calculating. Here we have the CT scan, and let's see if I can. The laser doesn't work. Anyway, you should see the tumor. So fast forward 5 minutes later, all the anatomic structures are lighting up. And so they, instead of removing yellow, blue, and green, they can now only see where the green nodule is so that they can perform the precise procedure. We also have the anatomic way of adjusting the anatomy according to how they change during the procedure. So they have guidance throughout every step of the way, not just specifically helping the surgeon, but also the whole operating staff and just making it a lot easier for junior surgeons and everybody involved. So basically it's showing what's below the surface of the anatomy and thereby allowing them to navigate. This really helps for all stakeholders involved. Yesterday I was talking to a surgeon who said that since the usage of our technology, they have not had a major bleeding, and this surgeon was performing surgery since I was 2 years old. So he already had quite the experience. We are CE certified. We are since end of April this year. These are the current trial installments where we really need to go to commercialization right now. So that's where we are. And these are the leads which were generated from the other congresses previous quarter. And tomorrow, or in Copenhagen, the Lung and Heart Congress will start. So we're really into the commercialization right now. We have some, and of course also the FDA, which we're in talks with. The tech is being led by a former engineer at Firefox and who has led a lot of Amsterdam-based startups as well, and with a lot of backing from the surgeons. We're not the only ones in the space, but how we differentiate ourselves is ease of use, but also accuracy of our models, keeping the data local, so without sending it to a cloud, keeping it within the hospital premises, which every hospital wants to have. If we fast forward to what's our main goal in the future, it's really to go to a full body setup, of course, going from lungs into other domains. We're in talks with the FDA right now, so expect approval there early next year. And of course, as what it's all about, to be able to grow towards a sustainable business and of course expand once we have the unit economics and also validated our business model. And that's quite fast, but I'll leave you with this slide if you want more background information, but open to any questions. Thank you.
Can you hook it up to a Da Vinci system, for example, to see and maybe automate surgery as well?
Automating surgery is something that might happen in a few years from now, but we are the first startup who have overlaid the anatomy on top of the patient in a lung cancer procedure. As you can see in this example, the bottom right, that's the laptop, which has our images on it, and they can hook it up to the Da Vinci, where they have a side-by-side view. And this is, it's very much similar to the example in the middle, where they see just the endoscopic view, or from inside of the patient and below. Whenever they need to, they can activate our model. So I'm glad the Da Vinci has an open platform, so that you can just plug and play it in. And this is not during the whole time of the procedure, just like during the navigation example. It's only when you need to know, all right, am I going to take a knee? Do I need to take it right here, or is it the next exit?
One more quick question.
Okay, very quick question. So I've seen other companies looking at other organs and doing similar surgery, similar things. Would you consider buying those company, or would you consider selling your company? Do you want to be the dinner or the diner?
Well, it really depends on our go-to-market. So if we're able to reach this type of market availability, but I think it's more of a which parties can you collaborate with instead of buying or being bought. So can you connect it to hardware so that you can really leverage both the hardware and the software applications. So of course we're in talks with a lot of industry parties to be able to see if we can leverage the network and access that they have to a specific market. And that's the only way that you can compete with the larger parties, is just speed and execution, and just having a good product which doesn't need too many updates and is stable and does what we tell it's supposed to do. So it's you're from the Antonie van Leeuwenhoek in Amsterdam, and they're using it right now, and they're incredibly enthusiastic. So they also want to use it for patient information sessions. So instead of CT scans and telling them, dear patient, we're going to perform a lung cancer procedure, they're going to show it with our models to show what the steps of the procedure will be.
Thank you very much, not only to you, but to all.